A quality speaker can make or break your event. If your speaker can't deliver a solid presentation, and if he can't keep the audience engaged, your event and really any of your future events are going to suffer for that. It's that important. Now, that said, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a high profile celebrity type of speaker. There are plenty of people in just about every industry who are willing to present on a variety of different relevant topics for your summit, and they'll usually do it completely free. The real challenge for you is to find great speakers. And that doesn't mean famous. That means quality presenters who know how to impress and know how to engage a crowd. And that type of talent can help you create an amazing online event that'll boost your reputation. But those speakers aren't always well known or celebrities. So let's go through some of the steps that you need to actually start to attract these events. And let's dive into the 4 best strategies for finding great speakers for your virtual summit, and knowing in advance that most of that happens before you actually even talk to the speaker. Welcome back to Renegade News. I'm your host, Glenn Kowalski. Every week on this channel, we discuss how entrepreneurs and other freedom lovers just like you can build cancel culture-proof businesses, create a bigger impact in their business and in the world, and completely break free from the system. The first thing that you want to keep in mind when you're putting together your event is to build your event around an idea, not around a person, and to find a theme. Now, what that means is you want to be able to lay out a foundation for the event's content, because people rarely show up to an event just because they want to hear the wisdom of just one person. So if you organize your summit around that one person, you're really leaning on that one individual to carry the entire event. And that's generally not going to be enough, and it's certainly not going to help the other speakers who you happen to have at the summit. And it gets especially bad if that person that you're building the summit around puts on a poor performance, and that causes your online reputation and your summit's reputation to suffer. On the other hand, an event with a clearly defined idea, and whether that's cryptocurrency, privacy laws, offshoring, new blockchain technology, self-sufficiency, alternative health, whatever that is, as long as you have that core idea, it's going to attract interesting people who can add value to that idea. So now that you actually have your theme set up, the next thing you want to do is set up a mock agenda and discuss and figure out the topics that you're actually going to be addressing. You want to get everybody from your executives to your marketing to your communication and your events team all in one room, and try to leave that meeting by accomplishing just 3 goals. You want to set your program theme, which we've already just talked about. You want to set all the topics that you're going to have, which you're going to build up almost as a ladder to build that theme, all of your different pieces that you want discussed. And you want to discuss what the speakers are going to be addressing that are going to be associated with that theme. Then you want to create this mock agenda. And at this stage, doing a mock agenda might feel a little bit early, but you still want to get really specific here. Even though you know it's going to change, you still want to be very specific. You want to go minute by minute of what that day is actually going to feel like. What's that experience? What are your attendees going to feel and experience? Because that's what they're really going to remember. They're going to remember the experience even more than content. Put all of that down on paper. Put all of that into your plan. Now, if you're actually going to go truly live in your summit, there's pre-recorded summits, and then there's actual live online summits. But if you're going to be live, make sure you put in all of the details like breaks, bathroom breaks, those other bio breaks. You need to have those bathroom breaks, even if it is a virtual summit. People still need to get up and walk around. They still need to clear their heads. So make sure that that's put into your schedule. And you want to just figure out what exactly your attendee is going to experience through that day as they take in all of that content. Now, after you've put that together, you do want to keep in mind that all of your plans and all of your quality speakers and everything that you put together, often those quality speakers are going to want to choose their own presentation topics anyway. Things may not always fit those goals because the speakers themselves, they're going to have their own preferences and they're going to have their own goals of what they want to talk to at the event. For example, a smart contracts expert may be capable of discussing the rise of NFTs, but that doesn't help him find customers for his current business. And he's going to want to come on your summit to actually help his exposure as well. After you've put together this mock outline, though, this theme and this mock agenda, now it's time to do your search for your speakers. And the first thing you want to do is address, what type of speakers are you actually targeting? And as you start looking, you're going to notice that there's 4 different types of speakers that you can get. And you want to put all 4 of these into your spreadsheet. The first speakers is your set of dream speakers. And these are the people that if you could get them to speak oh man, you would do anything to put them on the stage. You would go out of your way to get them, you'd fly them in, you'd do whatever it took to actually get them on the stage. That could be people like an Elon Musk, to, if you're a conservative audience, maybe to a Candace Owens or someone like that. JP Spears, if you're listening, I got a spot for you on my summit right now. We need you, buddy. You want to throw out some dream speakers out there to get them on your list. And you'd be surprised. If you ask nicely enough, you may be able to get some of those dream speakers, or at least one who can be a keynote for you. And you definitely want them to be there. Might be a little bit more nerve-wracking. It might be a little bit bigger investment, but you can get those types of speakers to your event. The next level of speakers is what we call kind of the A-level or the aspirational type of speakers. These are people like David Icke, Jeff Berwick, Max Egan, maybe, depending on your industry. You're going to know who these people are. They're not necessarily celebrities, but they are very well known within your industry. And although these people are aspirational and you may feel that they're at a totally different level from you, if they really fit the theme and they get that they're going to fit that theme, there's a really good chance that they might come and speak at your conference, provided they're available. Next, you have this, what we like to call the always available group, or maybe the safety schools people. And this is going to make up the bulk of your conference. And these are people who are usually already speaking at conferences, or maybe you know that they're promoting a book, or maybe they go to a lot of different trade events, or maybe they have some other reason to speak. These are people that you know fit your conference perfectly to a T. You know that they need the opportunity to promote, and they're very likely that they're going to actually show up to do it with any opportunity. And you know that if you ask them, they will show up because it's so valuable for them as well. So you want to fill out a lot of those. And like I said, they're going to make up the bulk of your event. But then finally, you have the just don't group. And this is the person who's maybe just spoken at too many conferences recently, so he's just burnt out and boring. Or maybe they're associated with a competitor, or they could have a bad reputation. Or maybe they have a bad reputation for working with other speakers, or maybe some that you've worked with in the past that you just don't want to work with again. I know we have people that, regardless of their celebrity status that may be growing, we would never invite them to speak in another conference again, or at one, because of something we know about those people. There's just certain people you don't want to work with no matter what. Put them on the list so that nobody within your company, maybe somebody runs into an opportunity that say, hey, I have this perfect opportunity to get this guy, and I approached him and he's willing to talk. Get them on the list, because you don't want to deal with them. So you do want to identify those guys and get them on that, that don't section. So next, now that you have your list of speakers that you want, those list of dream speakers, the list of desirable speakers, you want to put together this step-by-step action plan to start going after that monster big list of speakers that you've got. And keep in mind, when you put that list together, you want more people on that list than you think you need. If you want 20 speakers at your summit, you're better off to have 30 or 40 on your list, because things come up. Certain people will just say no. People that you expected to say yes will say no. Maybe they have another event. Maybe they have something else they want to do. Maybe something comes up. Maybe they have to cancel. Even though they say yes, they can't actually show up on the day. Things happen. People's lives change. So you always want to make sure that you have a backup plan for that. The easiest way to do that is, for every topic that you want to talk about within your summit, identify at least 3 to 5 speakers for each topic. For some topics, you might need less because you're quite sure that you know somebody who's going to take them over. But others, I know that we've had ones that I figured would be easy to fill. And even with 3 or 5 potential speakers in that spot, we still had to reach out to more to actually get a certain topic covered. And you want to start doing this as soon as possible and getting that word out there that you're looking for speakers as soon as possible. I mean, the moment that you've actually picked the date and the moment that you've registered your domain, or maybe even before, you've got to be aggressively looking for those speakers. Now, with speakers that you know, that makes things easier. It's obviously a lot harder when you're approaching speakers that you don't know. But the sooner you approach them, the better, because the best speakers in most industries, they're going to be booked well in advance for all of their engagements. Back in the day, for in-person events, the standard used to be a year. So you had to book a year in advance to actually get those bookings. For online summits, that's usually a little bit shorter because not as much travel is required. So you can do it in 2 to 3 months. If you're doing a recorded style of summit, it could even be less than that because there's a lot more flexibility baked into the schedule. But the earlier that you can book that speaker, the better your chances of getting the best speakers and getting the most out of them becomes, and the bigger chance they have to actually promote and start doing the preparation. If you wait until the last minute to start scheduling your speakers, the only speakers that you're going to get are the ones that are either undesirable and you don't want them, or they're going to come in completely unprepared. This includes when you're putting out calls for proposals, which is when you're issuing this public call for people to approach you. These are also known as like a call for abstract, but that gives potential speakers a chance to directly submit their ideas for the talks to you. And that means that you can then get this large pool of qualified speakers that are interested in actually presenting, which are going to be your most engaging speakers because they really want to be there. And you can then like put together like a review committee or do it yourself to review those proposals and find the ones that are best suited. For this tactic to work, you really have to be sure of your summit's theme, but you also have to keep your topics flexible within that theme. You also want to be prepared to offer something for that time. Now, how much you pay is going to depend a lot on your industry. It's going to depend on your budget. It's going to depend on the fee that the speaker commands. Obviously, bigger speakers are going to command a greater fee. And you got to negotiate that with the potential speaker or with their manager before they actually agree. But even if you don't have a budget, don't despair. There's a ton of speakers that you can find and a ton of presenters who are willing to speak just for the exposure, or maybe even just because they want to help you out or help out the cause of whatever your mission is. And there are plenty of people out there who are building their own brands, they're raising their own profile, and they would be happy to get in front of your crowd for an hour, and they'll do it absolutely free. That's something that we do. We go to summits, and I love speaking at summits, at other people's summits. It's a great way to grow our business, and I'm not going to charge for that. I go out because I want to be able to get exposure for our company. There's other people like that who will do that. Now, some speakers are going to prefer some kind of an opportunity. They're going to want to promote their brand or their book or their service or their product, or maybe it's their charity. But whatever it is, you want to make sure that you give them the chance to actually promote themselves to that audience. We usually say that we'll put a link to their opt-in within the webpage that the people go to actually watch that virtual summit, and they can put an opt-in or a sales item, whatever that is. Usually it's an opt-in to actually be able to add those people to their own lists. But basically speaking, the best speakers are only going to participate when their goals can be aligned with yours. In a previous episode, we discussed why high quality presenters would want to speak at your event. And there's a lot of different reasons, but we also talked about the 8 best tactics to find great speakers for that virtual summit. And that's something you're going to want to look at right now. You should see a link to it above me somewhere right on the screen with a link to that video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel right now so that you never miss an episode of Renegade News. Because on those, we're going to discuss things like the importance of freedom of speech. We're going to talk about how to build a cancel-proof business and a business that lets you escape from the matrix and pursue your life's mission. Also, don't miss Renegade News Live, which runs every Friday at 12 p.m. EST. I'm Glenn Kowalski from Renegade News, and I'll see you over there.